This is DDS. From the DDS studios, we are your hosts, Blake Melton, Bradley Newberry, and you know him, you love him. It's Matthew Two-Tone Blue Parker. Parker, you watching the Masters, brah?
I was about to tell you, if y'all see my eyes move off from the screen here, it's because it's the greatest 4-day stretch in sports, and I just can't help myself.
It is the greatest man cave ever assembled.
It really is.
He can see it all. He can do it all right there.
He can do a podcast and watch the Masters at the same time.
And there's more that he's not going to tell us about.
Uh-oh.
I've only seen secrets of the man cave.
This is legendary.
Lord have mercy. Yeah.
But we got a loaded show.
Yeah, we do.
Golly, we're going to go around the NFL a little bit, sticking with the hometown Titans mostly. We'll also touch on the Masters, as mentioned. We had MLB Opening day yesterday. We're going to recap Kansas, North Carolina, but we're going to get started with talking NFL football right here in our home state of Tennessee. Parker, let's break down, digest a little bit this A.J. Brown to the Jets. What is all this smoke?
It's nothing. It's smoke. I mean, it's something the Jets are trying to wish into existence. I don't think that there was ever anything into this. I mean, I kept seeing it pop up on Twitter, and I didn't even address it. I didn't even tweet anything out because there is no way that you draft a guy and he becomes this big of a star. It's kind of like Big Jeff or Harold Landry. This is why we said they were going to sign Harold Landry, because you don't draft a guy and turn awesome just to get rid of him. It just maybe later on in his years, like Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams when they're at the end of their career. But there's nothing. There's nothing to this. There's nothing that they could give to us that the Titans would give A.J. Brown.
Yeah, nothing burger is what I call this. Absolute nothing burger. I mean, there was nothing ever to this. I mean, and even, let's see, while y'all are talking here, I'm going to share my screen here. Mike Vrabel had to weigh in on this. He said that, let's see, he said on the Rich Eisen show, what did he say? He said, A.J. Brown on the trading block, not as long as I'm the head coach, was his response.
Makes sense.
Anyways.
Is that saying, now wait, let's read into this. Is that saying Vrabel's going to be fired?
There you go. All the conspiracy theorists, take it. Go ahead and run with that, I guess.
I mean, maybe I love Urban Meyer.
No,
I love the Jets are like, we're keeping an eye on him. Yeah, I mean, we're keeping an eye on Patrick Mahomes too, but doesn't mean we're going to have him tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, yeah, of course, if A.J. Brown was on the market, yeah, of course, everybody's going to have their eye on him.
But doesn't just the whole NFL community want this to continue? I mean, we've had Devontae Adams. We've had Tyreek Hill get traded. It just seems like everyone wants the next trade, and they've turned their eyes to A.J. Brown, Parker.
That's true, but the Titans just aren't going to do it. I mean, they're going to go with the Bills' approach. Like, the Bills didn't get rid of their big guy, Diggs. They signed him to a contract. That's what's going to happen with A.J. Brown. He's going to end up making about $24 million a year after next year. He's going to be a Titan for years to go.
Did anyone read anything or care about what he had to say about his compliments for Marcus Mariota, now quarterback for the Falcons? Some of the local media here have twisted it in, that could have been a backhanded, slap at Tannehill.
Go ahead there, Parker.
It's what's he supposed to say? The guy sucks. Like, Like, obviously, you've got to be. That's what you do in the NFL. You don't know who you're going to be playing for the next year. You don't backhand. You just don't insult anyone. You just give liked him kind of compliment. It is not a backhanded shot at Tannehill. It's just not.
I mean, look, man. They played together. I mean, they were kind of the dynamic duo or whatever here. But it's a professional thing, they're collegial. I mean, why wouldn't, I don't think anybody really has a lot of beef with anybody in the NFL. I mean, offense versus defense. Yeah. I mean, there's always something there, Ray Lewis and Eddie George, but I mean, all these guys, particularly guys that have played together. Yeah. They're going to congratulate each other for getting, back into, I mean, particularly Mariota, who hasn't really played hardly at all since he left Nashville. I mean, this is a big deal for him.
And a compliment does not mean you're dissing somebody else. If I say a girl's pretty, it doesn't mean I'm saying my wife is ugly. Like it is what it is. I think people are just reading way too deep. They're you know what? It's the dog days of summer for talk radio and sports, and they're just looking for something to talk
Yep.
Yeah. Well, something else we can talk about, sticking with the Titans. Have we heard any more stadium updates? Everything that I've been reading are just things confirming what Parker's already told us right here on our show.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how some of the local media are like, oh, yeah, I know exactly what's going on here. Yeah, I know you know because you've been watching DDS Sportstalk.
That's right. I mean, this is we've been saying this for months now. This is a done deal. I mean, it's just any day now. In fact, remember when the Bills news came out? We said that days before because we had already known it.
That was literally my next note. Parker was talking about the Bills are first, and then you'll immediately turn to the Titans, and by God, that's what's happening right before our eyes.
Yep, and didn't I hear Bill Lee ask for $500,000 or $500 million? Excuse me.
Yes, and there is one condition in that though; it has got to be covered. So that means there will be a covered stadium here in Nashville. Whether it be retractable or what, all that's down the road to be seen. But there's going to be a covered stadium here in Nashville in the next few years. I mean, and I predict, because I saw the draft, I think was awarded to Detroit's going to get one. There's a few more teams. Nashville's going to have, and they did such a good job on that draft. Look for the draft to be back in Nashville the year that stadium opens.
Look, I think that the Titans are looking at bigger fish than the draft.
Oh, I do too. I'm just saying.
This covered stadium,
NCAA national championships, all kinds of FIFA stuff is going to be there. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
I mean, hell, the WWE just made $1 billion impact in Dallas 2 nights.
Yeah,
WrestleMania.
I mean, all kinds of. I mean, anything like that, really. I mean, you're going to have the ability to do so much more. Think about how much better the concert arena would be in that kind of stadium rather than being outdoors.
Well, the Garth Brooks could answer to that one. I mean, the concert that got absolutely canceled. People were down there, friends down there waiting to get into it, and they had to go home. I tell you what, I'm not a wrestle guy, but God, I want to go downtown the night of WrestleMania and just walk around.
Dude, it is so fun with me and my brothers and my dad, roaming the streets of New Orleans.
Oh, I was about to bring that up, man. Dude, that had to be something.
Oh, it was so fun.
WrestleMania in New Orleans, Bourbon Street and WrestleMania.
That's just a whole nother crowd right there.
Never been there. That's
bringing like 2 peas in a pod together right there.
If that gets Parker to have the room that almost happened.
Oh my gosh, we were
downtown
close,
Nashville.
We should have been there. We should have been there. We should have been broadcasting live.
Yeah,
dude, I had us a suite up on the top floor. It was nice. Very sad.
Yeah. Good Lord. Guess who doesn't have a suite over downtown Nashville? Brian Flores. No, anybody want to talk about malarkey stirring things up here in Middle Tennessee?
Parker, please take this because my face is turning red because it's just so annoying.
Come on,
all right. So I'll start with this. So for the people that don't know, a former Titans defensive coordinator in Horton joined in on Flores' lawsuit about the whole Rooney Rule and discrimination and things like that. I want to start to say I think Flores has something with his. I mean, he got fired, and it's a whole long thing. There is a problem in the NFL with minority coaches. At one point this year, we had one minority coach in the NFL when the majority of the league is minority.
Mm-hmm.
There is an issue. I also think there's an issue with the Arizona coach that jumped in on it. He got fired after 1 year. But this Horton thing, getting in on it, I got to tell you guys, this isn't anything. And I'll address malarkey in a moment. But Horton is claiming that the Rooney Rule, that the interview was an absolute sham, that he went through, that Malarkey was going to get the job no matter what. And he is absolutely right. Mm-hmm. It is a sham, but it's not a sham because he was a minority. If you would look back at it, they had already fulfilled the Rooney Rule. They interviewed Terrell Austin before they interviewed Horton. And then they also interviewed a white candidate in Doug Marrone. All 3 of those guys, it was a sham interview. I was at Channel 4 at the time. Everybody in the building knew that Malarkey was going to get this job. Everybody knew it. He was an interim coach. The Rooney Rule exists for a reason. Obviously, it needs some tweaks. But if Blake, if your boss gets fired, but the owner of your company is like, "Hey, you've done such an awesome job, you're going to get that promotion. But first, we have to go outside and interview these people." those are all sham interviews. It's the same thing.
It happens with every single company in America without exception.
Yes, if you were hiring from the scratch, let's say everybody's fired, and there's the owners hiring from scratch. I get it. Then you need to probably interview minority candidates. But if you're bringing somebody up from within and everybody knows it, what's the point?
Well, I mean, even beyond that, I mean, so what? They told you were going to get the job and you didn't. So, big freaking deal. Who cares? I mean, you don't have a contract until you have a contract. Okay? Until you got something in writing, nothing is final. You know, if you're just going off of whims and prayers and handshakes and winks, I mean, dude, come on. It doesn't really mean anything.
Horton himself, I can disprove this just by using Horton's own words. So after the interview, there's a group that tracks minority hirings. And the head of that group, I forget his name, it escapes me, came out and said that Horton had told him that he was upset with the hiring process, that it was a sham interview, all this stuff. When that interview came out in the Tennessean, Horton himself went to ESPN seeking out an interview to say, no, that is not true. I did the interview process was great. So also this has changed a couple of years later. And now what Bradley was saying on to Malarkey, screw Malarkey. Malarkey should have never been hired to begin with. He's a terrible coach. He's a failed coach. That was my argument when he got hired.
Bradley would know.
I had a taste of malarkey in Duval.
Yes, and he's making these. If you know what, Malarkey, if you felt so bad about it, why did you even take the job? You should have been like, you know what, this is wrong. I don't want this job. Don't talk about it years later after you've got canned because you sucked.
I mean, dude, it's just 100% sour grapes, right? There's nothing else to it. It's just the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever seen in my life. It's Malarkey trying to bring an organization down, but down to as far down as they can go to be on his level because he just sucks.
It was awful. It was an awful experience in not only in Tennessee, but Jacksonville was a complete waste of a time.
It was a sham coaching.
I mean, this
coaching
guy
experience.
When it comes to challenges, I'm just throwing out something trivial, but I've got like a 2-year-old in the corner saying, throw the damn flag.
Mm-hmm.
And Malarkey's doesn't even know. Doesn't know the timeout systems.
No.
He's coaching like it's in the 80s also. His offense, I don't know who his offensive coordinator was for you guys, but it was Terry Robisky for us. And the guy it was the worst offense in the league probably. I mean, it was so just antiquated.
Ugh.
And he could have stayed coach here. That's another reason he's so stupid. If he would have fired Robisky, he would have still been the coach here. And he was like, nope, stick with my guys. And they all got fired.
Yeah, well, good riddance to bad rubbish.
Yeah, bye.
Hey, and one other thing, did you see the comment? And this was further down. He was blaming John Robinson. He was like, when they hired me, they had something.
He
something
tried
else.
to drag J-Rob in. I saw that.
Yeah, he was like already alluding to that J-Rob that he was going to hire Vrabel 2 years later, and he already knew it. It was weird conspiracy theory stuff.
Whatever, dude. Bye, Malarkey. Bye. No one cares. Go away.
Nope. Sour grapes. What about taking a look at the draft? A lot of local media here saying, could the Titans really, because this is smokescreen season here, but could they really pull the trigger and draft a quarterback in the first round? And if they do, Parker, what does this mean for Tannehill?
100% they could draft a quarterback in the first round. I'll go back and forth. Is it going to be a quarterback, wide receiver, or lineman? And I'm all over the place. I think it just depends on what falls to them. And I think it's more an indictment on our backup than it is really on Tannehill.
Well, exactly. Actually, I would almost encourage them to get a backup because we are absolutely screwed if Tannehill gets hurt.
So it's quite opposite what I heard this week on the radio. They said one of the most secure jobs on the Titans right now is Logan Woodside.
That's this draft
pick, but it's because there's no other option.
No. That this draft pick has nothing to do with his job security. This is all about Tannehill. Nothing to do with Logan Woodside. He's going to be the backup no matter what happens in this draft. They believe is a symbol of if the draft pick happens, could it be bye-bye Tannehill Logan Woodside's safe no matter
No.
what.
Look, I
No.
mean, there's no question that NFL quarterbacks have a shelf life. Tom Brady is the exception to the rule. You got to have a backup plan. You have to have future plans. I think that if you draft correctly, that you got a pretty likely scenario where Logan Woodside is back down to the practice squad, because I just don't think that Logan Woodside offers us anything. And I think a rookie quarterback could at least offer you something.
I mean, I'll say it right here. If they draft a quarterback in the first round, I'm not going to count seventh round ridiculousness, but if they draft a quarterback in the first round, Logan Woodside will be on the practice squad or not on this team. And there's not a debate about it. They will not get rid of Tannehill this year. It's too much on the cap hit. I will say, though, if they draft a rookie quarterback, it is watch out time for Tannehill. If he does not have a great season next year, they can move on from him after this season. But they cannot move on from him this season. It is not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you're protecting the organization just by doing this. I mean, and also, I mean, hey, it's competition breeds excellence, right? Iron sharpens iron, whatever, cliche you want to use. But, if Tannehill is a little bit less comfortable, maybe he plays better. It's never know what to say.
And there's an argument to draft quarterback. I think this coaching staff is good. And I think this Titans team is, even on a down year, is always going to be drafting 19 or above. They're always going to be in the 20s. And when do you ever have a chance to get a top, for this year, who knows, but a top quarterback at 26? It's just never going to happen. So maybe this is the year to take that shot. I don't know.
May I take this opportunity to mention one of Parker's favorite topics? Aaron Rodgers slipped down into those 20s, didn't he, Parker, back in the day?
He did. So did Jordan Love.
That's right. Titans could be looking in the same scenario. Also, during this weird gap of, there's no combine going on. The players are kind of doing their last resting before coming into camps here in the draft. A lot of lists are being put out there by the media. And really, my question to you guys is, does it really matter if the media shows the Tennessee Titans respect right now? Are we still stuck on that? Oh, we're Nashville and we're a small market, so that's why they hate on us all the time. Does it matter anymore?
No, I just honestly don't care. Like, I get tired of that argument where people are like, "Oh, the national media is not paying attention to." So what? Like, I don't know. I don't want to. The national media, it honestly sucks. Like, if you turn on ESPN or NFL Network, they're not digging down into anything anyway. It's so like 3,000-foot view of everything. If you want like real coverage of your teams, you need to go listen to local podcasts or local papers or local stuff. The
like
national
DDS
stuff.
Sportstalk.
Exactly. Like when I want to learn about Jacksonville because I'm a glutton for punishment, I turn on Jacksonville radio or Jacksonville podcast. I don't turn it on ESPN.
Totally agree.
Does it make you feel bad when you hear that they say they're predicting that the Tennessee Titans are not a top 10 team? The hell, they're barely a top 8 team in the AFC when they just came off the number 1 seed. It just feels weird to me. And I'm not even a Titans fan.
I mean, it's just more of the same. When as Titans fans, you build scar tissue, and this is just the type of thing that you're just used to over the years because there is no respect. We don't really care. Honestly, we kind of actually thrive in that role as being the guy that everybody doesn't think is going to be worth a shit.
Well, we saw a lot of that this year, Parker, with how many injuries did they have? And what did they do? They kept winning and winning and winning.
Yep.
Right now, I think the Titans suffer more as being the guys that are expected to win. I mean, that's their identity at the moment.
I love actually not getting the coverage because honestly, when we get the coverage, we lose.
Yeah.
But we really do. It's just kind of historically what it's been for us. I mean, we get the number 1 seed and we get kind of, hey, pumped up. Maybe we can get to the AFC Championship. Yeah, no. Yep. It just, whenever we finally get the respect, it just doesn't pay off for us.
Yeah, totally.
Sticking in the NFL and AFC South, this year's NFL draft, my Jacksonville Jaguars hold the number 1 pick. I've been reading that their phones have not been ringing that often here, inquiring about the number 1 pick. And really that's because there's that one quarterback Usually that's what causes the buzz about a lot of trades. So it looks like the Jaguars are going to be holding pat there at sticking at number 1. NFL Network's Daniel Jeremiah says Aiden Hutchinson is a no-brainer with the number 1 pick, but I'm thinking about the Jags, and when you start saying Jags and brain, I'm a little bit worried here. So it's
I've got to.
You've got Aiden Hutchinson, Parker. They could look offensive tackle with Evan Neal or Ike Ekwonu. There's a new name that's been buzzing.
Yes, there is.
Defensive lineman
Trayvon Walker.
That's right.
I've been waiting for this moment, guys. Let me think of it for a minute. So Trayvon Walker is shooting up draft boards, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to Jacksonville Jaguar this up, and they are going to pass on Aiden Hutchinson, and they are going to take Trayvon Walker. One month ago, you could bet on who would be the number 1 pick in the draft. There were 25 names on BetMGM. Guess what number Trayvon Walker, the betting favorite, was out of those 25? You want to take a guess? He's not on the list.
Yeah, exactly.
Now he's number 2. He's number 2 on the list. This guy, in his entire career, 3-year career at Georgia, has 9.5 sacks. Aiden Hutchinson had 14 last year. If they draft him, they're drafting him based on traits. Everything that he did at the combine was in the 80th percentile. Out of 1,400 people at his position over the years, he's ranked 3rd. But again, it's just traits. The one thing that translates from defensive line in the college to NFL is production. Usually you don't go from a guy that hasn't had production to making production. Aiden Hutchinson's the guy, or pick Ekwonu. I'm fine with that. Pick Neal. Fine with that. Just don't do Trayvon Walker.
Wow. Watch out below. That was a bomb.
Whew. Look out for the fall out there.
Oh,
jeez.
I've been wanting to get that off my chest for a few days.
I mean, Parker was like, literally, I thought he was going to break out into hives there.
He's done nothing. He was, and the people are saying, well, he was on a good defensive line. Other people could get it. Exactly. There are other people to pay attention to. He should have been able to make more impact.
Oh, my word.
Oh, God.
So, God, it does feel like a best case scenario is, you mentioned it. Could they swap with Detroit? Would they swap and get a 3rd? Would they swap and get, dare I say, the 32 overall pick from Detroit? I don't want to see them stay at number 1 and do it, because they could have done it anywhere in the top 5, probably, right?
So the only way that they move down, and this could happen. So Malik Willis is really moving up draft boards as quarterback. What if Detroit wants him, and what if Carolina wants him? So maybe Carolina could move to 1, and Jacksonville could move down to, I think it's 6 at that point. But you've got to have 2 teams in the top 6 fall in love with Malik Willis. He's going up. I don't know.
I hope everybody's writing some of this stuff down, because it seems like everything that Parker has said on the show has come to fruition. So you guys write some of that down. You heard it here first.
What I want with the smokescreen season is I want a lot of talk about Aiden Hutchinson in the next few weeks. Even if it's just bullshit. I just want a lot of Aiden Hutchinson. We love him. He was a great interview. We love his attitude, his motor, the person. Because if you don't build it like you love it, there ain't nobody coming up there, man.
Well, they're in a unique position too as an organization that they have to. They've got to show the love. It's not like somebody's going to come fawning over them, you know. So they've got to roll the red carpet out. So
another Jaguar news. Oh, go ahead. You have a
no. I'm just saying, even if I just completely just blanked, just brain farted. Take a. Oh my God, Oregon defensive end.
We
go ahead.
Mentioned him in a long time.
No, it's been a minute.
So in other Jacksonville Jaguar news,
no, Thibodeau. Sorry.
Yeah,
Thibodeau. Yeah.
Dude, he was the betting favorite for like years, and now he's slipping to like 10th. This guy is awesome. I still don't understand really why he's falling. So go ahead. Sorry, I was bothering me. I couldn't think.
Oh no, you're good. This is coming off the announcement that the Buffalo Bills are going to be building a new stadium.
Oh yeah, you heard that first here about a month ago from that guy right there. You know him, you love him, Matthew Two-Tone Blue Parker.
So the Jags are going to piggyback off of this, and the same group that helped the Buffalo Bills, CAA Icon, partnering with that group, they sent out surveys to get feedback on the Jacksonville Jaguars stadium situation. Gentlemen, this survey included 32 questions around topics of concessions, fan experience, and shade. Yes, I said shade to the awnings, almost like in Miami, to come over the stadium here. They have a stadium lease in Duval through the year 2030. Mark Lamping, the Jacksonville Jaguar president, said the current stadium will not serve the needs of the fans or the football team for much longer. Something has to be done. They're on the bandwagon. We all believe the Titans are next, but there's some serious movement going down in Duval right here.
As there should be. I mean, Jacksonville should be on the list with Miami, with Arizona, with these warm weather cities to host the Super Bowl every 5 or 6 years. And they've hosted one. So maybe a new stadium gets them in that rotation. And the shade's a legit concern down there. I mean, it is here.
Yeah, for sure. I just 32 questions.
32.
Are you going to take
multiple choice questions?
I'm just curious from both of y'all. Would either one of y'all fill out a 32 question questionnaire?
If it's for something that I'm passionate about, I would.
Yeah, if the Titans are sending me like an email directly, I probably.
My question to Blake is: Are there enough people that are passionate about Jacksonville Jaguar football in the Southeast to take it?
I guess maybe that's my point. Or is this just fodder for the fire that it's like, well, look at these stupid Jaguar people sending out this, test that's longer than my high school seniors, biology test. I mean, good grief.
But
I don't know.
It gets good information. I think
I
think if they sent out a 4-question survey, it's not thorough enough.
But my thing is I think they could have done it better. I mean, because my thing is I think 32 questions scares certain sectors of people off because it's a time investment. But if you send out shorter ones and then people respond, you go back to those same people and then ask them more questions.
I've never been to a game there to be able to speak on the stadium. I just know from what I see on TV that the upper deck's tarped off, right? So my question is,
the
corners? Okay,
the corners of the upper deck. Yeah.
Maybe it was the upper deck of. Was it Oakland's that was completely?
Oh yeah,
that was Oakland.
Yeah, that
was completely. God, that stadium is. I mean, UT Stadium's 120 years old, and it seems like it's brand new compared to that one.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know because haven't they agreed to play one home game in London every single year now?
Yeah, isn't that right?
It's through a certain year, but I mean, they've shown in their year-end.
I mean, the Titans already play their home games in Nashville and in Duval right now.
Yeah, but they've shown that that game is for the financial stability of keeping the team in Jacksonville. I mean, that's a huge thing for that ownership group. It's because they don't want to move the team. That has not been a talk.
I don't think they should have to.
No, that hasn't been a talk in over a decade, right?
No.
So this London game, I don't believe Shad Khan wants to move the team to London, but getting that one game and one gate gives them the financial stability to keep everything at home in Jacksonville. I mean, look, they just broke ground a couple of weeks ago on a $120 million project for football performance facilities. So, I mean, they're investing and they're building. I just think naturally with the new football performance facilities, it's going to have to be either new stadium or renovation at least.
Yeah, but you're right. You do a major renovation on the stadium, or you build a new stadium, and they're there for sure.
So, question, because it was one of the points of contention for renovating the Titan Stadium is how popular is that stadium with like other outside of football stuff? Like, do they use it a ton? Because my thing is one of the things about Nissan stadiums, you had to have time to be able, huge chunks of time to actually be able to do the updates.
Other than like a major concert or soccer, not as much. I don't believe. I don't hear about it as much.
So a lot of their revenue doesn't come from that kind of stuff.
Not from the big stadium, but what they do have attached to the stadium is that amphitheater, and they do a lot of things there where they have the wrestling thing is based there, and they have a regular concert schedule there at Daly's place. It's attached to one of the end zones of the stadium.
Yes. So my question, that's kind of my question is can they do those updates with, do they have those huge chunks of time is my question.
I mean, Parker, with an NFL's schedule, there isn't that much time.
No, but they should have a little bit more just based on weather, right?
Yeah, true.
I mean, it's still, I know Jacksonville's not
Florida.
Miami, but it's still Florida.
Yeah.
So that should provide a little bit more time than, it's freaking April. I was going to go outside and mow. I walked out, started sleeting today.
Yeah. No.
Like,
good grief. I need to mow my grass. And you're right. I went out there and got hit in the head by a sleet pellet. And it's like, damn it. What is this shit?
It's only 70s on Sunday and it's sleeting today. So just whatever.
Oh, now boys, let's go to Georgia.
Georgia.
Take a little trip with me, if you will. You hear the birds chirping, the old Jim Nance.
Hello, friends.
That's right. We're talking about golf and the Masters. And this year, it just feels a little different, Parker. I mean, anytime that you hear and get to witness the name Tiger Woods tied to any golf tournament, much less the Masters. I mean, who would have thought after 14 months ago, this guy had bones sticking out of his skin?
Yeah.
And 14 days ago, I didn't even know if he could walk Augusta, much less play.
He has done a really great job of keeping his preparation under wraps. Either that or this was not planned and this was spur of the moment. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and say this. This might be the only golf tournament Tiger Woods ever plays anymore because it's an easier golf course for professional golfers to play. And he has just so much success and knowledge of that course. And, he can gear up for it and he can always, just gear up for it every year kind of thing.
It's funny you say that, Brett. I was having this conversation last night. In a world where we can learn things about presidents and things in other countries and dictators and all these things, but I can't see a picture of Tiger Woods' leg. He keeps this thing so under wraps. It's unbelievable. I didn't know until he played golf with his son a few weeks ago. Like is he walking? Is he what's going on? And I do think that this was spur of the moment. And I think that they are more than happy to accommodate him in this. And
I literally think that he went and played with his son on a leisure trip. And I think he said, I think I could play this. I think I could do it. And he's like the only guy that I could say, yeah, I think he'd probably go out there and he can make the cut.
I was reading, leading into the Masters, I was reading that the biggest question was, could he walk it for 4 straight days?
The stamina. That was going to be my question to you guys is, do you think that he's able to physically walk 72 holes? My personal opinion is yes. I think he can. I think he's not going to be able to he can't afford to be in some precarious positions like he has been in the past, but this course generally doesn't put you in those kinds of positions.
He won the U.S. Open on basically a broken leg. This guy's pain threshold is on a different chart than any of us. The thing that concerns me about this course is his uphill lies. So he's hitting the shot right now. So the ones that go way uphill are holes 8 and 18, and you can see him struggling to plant on that leg yesterday. But he hit a shot yesterday also. He was over in the woods and no pun intended, and people were thinking, hey, he was just going to punch out, and he did one of these miraculous over the top Tiger shots that was like, whoa,
man, God, he's just such a
didn't know he could still do that.
The most fun though was he opening round yesterday. He goes -1.
He broke par in his first professional tournament back, which is a major.
On some of the hardest greens on tour.
Yeah. And we're going to see what happens today. It's Friday. The winds are supposed to be blowing today. And I can already see some pretty big numbers being put up by some of the leaders on the leaderboard. So we'll just have to see, man. Tiger Woods being in the field changes everything, because once, particularly on the weekend on the back nine, whenever you start to hear the roars, it's a different level of roar whenever there's LT Gray involved.
He changes things more than any athlete has ever single-handedly changed.
Yeah.
Like I used to look at ratings. It was pretty important to me every single day. And if you take a tournament that's not the Masters would be a big change too. But like take Memorial, which is a big tournament outside of one of the majors, and one rating point equals 10,000 households here in Nashville. And it would be 0.7 if Tiger wasn't in it. And if Tiger wasn't in it, it'd be 7. I mean, it just changes everything.
It's the old adage. He doesn't move the needle. He is the needle. I mean, it's like you said, it's either a golf tournament with or without Tiger Woods. And I hope that, and I'm sure they are, all these golfers are so appreciative of what Tiger has done for the game of golf.
They should lay down and kiss his feet, because what the purse was before Tiger started playing at the Masters versus what it is now, they go out and buy mega yachts. Back then they were like, hey, I could pay my rent this.
Exactly. I got enough to get to the next city. Now it's, you win one tournament, you can just about retire for a normal person.
I think we are in shape to have a very interesting weekend.
Yeah.
For all of those that enjoy the Masters, for all of those that would like to watch golf on TV, Tiger Woods is in position to make the cut and bring TV ratings for all the golf fans.
If Tiger Woods is in contention going into Sunday, all bets are fucking off.
If Tiger wins this, it's going to sound insane. If Tiger wins this, it's going to be the greatest accomplishment in sports history.
Well, yeah, it'll be, and number 2 will be his last Masters win. I mean, it's just like unbelievable. He keeps rewriting history. It's unbelievable.
I love him so much.
Very inspiring.
One last thing before we move on. Did you see, before he even announced that he was going to be in the field this week, there were people dropping thousands of dollars betting that Tiger Woods would win this tournament to try to turn that into big profits on FanDuel and DraftKings.
I did also saw there was a bet out there. Initially, it was plus 200 for him to even make the cut.
Oh, dude,
that's cashing
in. Somebody's making some dollars right there.
I mean,
now.
Yeah, they are. I'm sure. I mean,
it's going to have to be a pretty bad day today for him to miss the cut, in my opinion. What is the cut? Let me see here.
I think the projected's at plus 3 or plus 4 maybe now.
Projected cut. Of course,
it depends on how far these leaders keep falling back, but unless he does something stupid, it appears that he's pretty in line for that. He's even right now, I believe.
CFA.
I'd look it up on my computers.
Yeah, plus 5.
Oh, it's gone even more.
Plus 4. Plus 4 and better are going to make the cut.
Well,
yeah, there's some huge numbers. A lot of bogeys going on today.
The key they set this up on purpose. So on Thursday and Friday, right? If you tee off in the morning, you tee off in the afternoon on Friday. Vice versa. On Thursday, if you tee off in the afternoon, you tee off in the morning on Friday, right? So they did this. Don't tell me they didn't do this on purpose, because Tiger teed off one of the first tee times on Thursday. So he's got one of the later tee times today for as much maximum time for his leg to rest.
Yeah,
so
there's a chance he may not finish the round today.
The question is, though, is if he falls back today and he has to tee off early in the morning without much rest, does that really impact him? So hopefully he stays in that upper group so he can have as much time to heal up.
Interesting. And it's not very often we get to say golf is interesting this week.
Everybody's watching El Gato. Everybody's watching.
So now that we've moved on to Georgia, we're going to take a little trip to Major League Baseball. Gentlemen, yesterday was the beginning of the Major League Baseball Marathon 162 games spread out over 24 goddamn months. Does opening day baseball mean anything to any of the three of us anymore?
Man, it used to. to be honest with you, man, the more of the squabbles between the owners and the players that happen with baseball, the less I get interested in all this stuff. Because it's really a shame, because I'm a baseball nut. I love baseball. Played a little bit in college and played at a high level in high school, and I know Bradley did too. But it's not the same game. It's different, man. But I still love it. There's a lot more. There's a lot more representation, shall we say, from people. Shohei Ohtani, man, golly, is he a phenom or what? I watched a little bit of the Braves game. I can't even remember. Did they even end up winning that game?
No, 6-3 loss.
Yeah, I mean, that first inning, I was like, wow, this is going pretty good. And then all of a sudden, what was his name? Fried, whatever. He started getting ripped, bro.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. I mean, they just didn't do anything offensively. I bet they're wishing they had a old Frederico over there on first base.
I'm interested to hear about from Parker, because I don't even know if this guy Parker watches baseball, cares about baseball, bets on baseball. Does it mean anything to you?
Guys, if you want my analysis on football, golf, I can give it to you. If you want it on baseball, the only thing you should come to me is for humor, because I didn't know it was opening day until I heard it on a radio station yesterday. I probably can name 7 players, maybe 4 players. Ohtani's one of them.
Yep. There you go.
In baseball. I know nothing about it. I watched as a kid. I used to love playing baseball games. That's really how I knew most of the players. I thought they were fun to play. It's too many games. It's too long for me. It's too boring. I don't know when I'm turning on a game, if it's going to be 3 hours or 6 hours. It's too much for me. I used to do fantasy baseball, but golly, it's just every single day. I'm just not a baseball guy. I can't do it. Maybe it's because I'm just absolutely horrible at it. I once subbed in for my brother. I was there watching a softball game, and someone didn't show up, and they asked me last minute to come play slow pitch softball and hit the ball. I struck out 3 times. Yeah. And I got it.
Yeah, I think there's something to that if you didn't really play it, I mean, it doesn't mean much to you. Baseball requires an investment. It's an emotional investment. It's a time investment. It's a patience investment. It's the same thing as when people are learning to play golf. They hate it at first because it takes too long, and it's a huge time investment and all that. But for the people who actually grew up doing nothing but baseball, it's great. But the game has definitely changed over the years. I still love it. I don't know nearly as many players as I used to. A lot of the players that I used to follow are now coaching. So actually, most of them are. I don't know that any of the players that I used to follow are actually playing anymore. But yeah, still a great game. It's still America's game, in my opinion. I don't care what football has to say.
Now, if Nashville gets a team, which I believe they will at some point, I'll get in. I'll start following them just like I am soccer now. But who are these people that are going to 81 home games on a Tuesday afternoon? Who has time and money for this stuff? I have no idea.
I think that the baseball experience has to change in order for it to survive. I feel like it almost needs, the stadiums almost need to be smaller. I feel like it needs to be smaller. You need to be more intimate. You need to be more on top of the game. You need to be more involved in it. Because over 162 games, I don't see how you're ever going to routinely fill up a stadium anymore in Major League Baseball.
Not on a lazy Tuesday night.
Yeah, I mean,
Thursday night, you might be lucky to get half of your capacity in there.
Yeah, I mean, the days of having 50,000 seat Major League Baseball stadiums, I think, are going to be gone.
I couldn't tell the difference between a regular season game and a COVID season game when I turned in a couple of times.
I mean, it's fair enough. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The fan experience has to change, in my opinion. I don't know how they do that, but that's just my opinion.
In closing, baseball, here's to you. Thank you for getting rid of your holdout thing. But Blake and I and the crew, we're cheering for the Braves as we did last postseason. We'll see you again in 24 months when we talk about the playoffs.
Chop on.
Chop, chop. And finally, the DDS crew wants to take a look back. We're going to look back at all those ripped to shred brackets. And we had Parker, a historical NCAA championship game that saw Kansas coming back to beat North Carolina in the historic fashion. It was the largest comeback in championship basketball game history.
Yeah, down 15, right?
Down 15.
It was a great game. Last minute, did y'all see the clip? It's totally off subject, but did you see the clip where the floor collapsed underneath a couple of the Carolina players? You look that up on Twitter. I'll have to shoot it over to you. Where they tripped, it was like the very end, and you can see the floor buckle. Anyways, but
Coach
the whole
K had
tournament
something to do with that.
That's what it is.
Little conspiracy.
Hey, he might have, but
One last jab for Coach K.
One last trip.
I had Coach K getting knocked out pretty early, but once he got to the Final Four, I was cheering for him. I was in on the storyline.
Yeah, I mean, it was set up to be a Cinderella story, right? I mean, it was like, oh my God, it's like everybody sees what's about to happen here. And UNC, I mean, first off, UNC was an 8 seed. Are you kidding me? My God, they were playing like world beaters.
There have been a lot of discussions, thanks to the popularity of the DraftKings and FanDuel. They're like, how about we just let Vegas create these brackets, Parker? Because you've got matchups where you had the 12 seed favored over the lower seed, and they're like, Vegas knows more about how to seed these teams than the committee.
They know what is going to be a better matchup, a more entertaining, a more statistically interesting game than anybody else that's out there.
Vegas is better about everything. It's like, let's say we're talking about the draft. You don't go look at some mock draft. Go to Vegas and see what the betting odds are, and you can almost line it up to how they're going to be drafted that way. I'm with you. I almost wish they would set it up, but then you'd have like what would they be viewed as rigging it or whatever, but it's just like when we do our win totals, one of the things I look to get an idea for it is I go look at Vegas win totals because they're usually within a game or two of what it's going to be.
It's amazing.
I had no dog in the hunt. I didn't even have a bracket, so I wasn't even one of the ones that got to rip it after day one, much less weekend one.
Yeah, and I never cheer for North Carolina, but I hate Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks. As an alumni of the University of Memphis, I hate them with a passion. Cannot stand them. So I was all in on UNC. Heck of a game. Got to take your hats off to them. I mean, they won fair and square. Wasn't like there was anything crazy there. Congratulations. I can't believe I'm about to say it.
Memphis should have beat Gonzaga.
Parker, don't even bring up that shit right now. I don't want to talk about the bullshit.
Do we want to talk about the UT Vols in this tournament?
I lost all 4 of my Final Four teams in the first weekend.
Well, you're not the only one.
Yeah, you were not alone in that.
I mean, that first Thursday just about killed everybody.
Yeah, it did. They did.
We didn't even get through the first weekend.
At St. Peter's, I mean, they pissed in a lot of people's cornflakes.
I'll tell you, and who else screwed me again is Iowa. Iowa always screws me in football and in basketball. They always win when they shouldn't in basketball or in football, and they always lose when they shouldn't in basketball. They had a good team. I had them going to the championship. No.
Well, that was a show. What do you got in closing there, Mr. Milton?
That was a show. Heck of a show. Guys, seriously, keep an eye on what is going up on the hill in Rocky Top right now with the football program. A lot of exciting stuff going on. They still got some holes they got to fill. I don't think that this is going to be the year that they win the national championship or even win the SEC, but by God, they are climbing the ladder this year. I'm going to tell you that right now.
I mean, we could do a whole show about that and Texas A&M's recruiting class. Jesus. But hey, my party thing, go watch the Masters. Even if you're not a golf fan, this weekend's going to be back 9 on Sunday. It's going to be glorious. I don't care who's there.
My final thought, Jacksonville, even if you don't like him or love him, act like you love Aiden Hutchinson. Talk about him. Propose to him. Take him out to dinner every night. Make that smoke. Have someone come up, give you a draft pick, or just draft him.
Yes. Just take it.
All right. There you go. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for joining us today on another episode of DDS Sports Talk. Go ahead and check us out on Twitter at DDS Sports Talk, as well as on Instagram, DDS Sports Talk. Go ahead and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're on Rumble as well. Give us a Rumble there, a follow and a Rumble. You can always catch our full-length audio episodes on Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts as well. Go ahead and comment down below. Really appreciate you guys. And as always, it is two-tone blue all the way. You guys
Tiger Woods.
be well.